Hello everyone, it's Trish here. Now I've created this little YouTube video to explain the answers to the questions in the quiz. Now the grammar quiz covered parts of speech and various other things that you need for upcoming assessment tasks, particularly your reading tasks. So I thought it would be a good idea to just revise your grammar, and most of you did quite well, so I was very happy about that. But I thought that I would go through each question and explain the answers to you in the hopes that you will learn from the errors that you made and hopefully understand, perhaps why your answer was wrong. So hopefully this little video helps now that we're not in the classroom. So this is a way of me explaining some grammatical points to you. If you have any questions, you can always send me a message or email, and I'm happy to explain your answers to you in more detail. So this is just a quick overview. Now I am going to be looking at my screen and at some notes, so if I do look a little bit strange, yeah, that's why. And it's a little bit dark in the background because I'm doing it at night time when it's quiet, because during the day there's my kids around, the dog, my husband, and it's noisy, so I thought I'd choose a quiet time to do it. So now I'm not a professional, so I'm going to do my best at explaining things to you. So the first question was, what is the proper noun in the following sentence? And John went to the city to meet his friends. And most of you got this correct, because John is a proper noun. And of course, a proper noun starts with a capital letter. And the reason being is because it names a particular place, person, or thing. So for example, Trish is a proper noun, Victoria University, Australia, Victoria. So names of places and things are proper nouns. And then common nouns are just everyday things like a table, a chair, a book. So if it was the name of the book, it would be in a capital letter, but just book itself is just a common noun. Okay, so most of you got that correct, which was excellent. Now an abstract noun. So an abstract noun is a noun that you can't touch or feel. So most of you got this correct. So it was fear. Other examples are things like happiness, sadness, joy, injustice. They're all abstract nouns. Now, the next question is about pronouns. Okay, so some of you got a little bit confused with their. So this, he, and their, spelled T-H-E-I-R, is a pronoun. It's a possessive pronoun. So like their books, their TVs. So therefore that is a pronoun. It's a possessive pronoun. And of course he is a pronoun. It replaces like a person. So like John is coming. He will be here at 10 o'clock. So it replaces John. And this refers to something that is close to you. So it's referring to an object or something like this is mine. This book is interesting. So this is, we call it a demonstrative pronoun, but that gets a bit technical. You just, need to understand that that is in fact a pronoun. So this, he, and their. Okay. Now the next one, there, spelled T-H-E-I-R. Okay, not the other there, meaning like it's over there. Okay, which is an adverb actually. Okay, we use it mostly as an adverb. Okay, now, so identify the tense in the following sentence. So this is question 8. Is plastic pollution is affecting the environment? So is affecting present continuous, okay? Present continuous, so is affecting. Now the next one is bananas are not very expensive at the moment. Present simple, okay? So it's present tense, are, and not expensive, so are not expensive. Okay, so it's a present simple, definitely not past tense, definitely not present perfect. Okay, the tense in the following sentence, the teacher was appalled when, let me just move this, when the students arrived late to class. So it's past simple, was appalled. Appalled means really angry. Okay, so was appalled or shocked or upset. So past simple. Okay, now the next one. Okay, the auxiliary verb. So an auxiliary verb is a helping verb that comes before the main verb. So I may arrive late. May being the auxiliary verb. So we have lots of auxiliary verbs that are like helping verbs. Like the verb to be is an auxiliary verb. So, you know, my dad is coming to pick me up. So is being the auxiliary verb. I can walk home, can being an auxiliary verb. So there's a number of auxiliary verbs. We call them helping verbs and they occur before the main verb. Okay, so in this case, may. Now, most people got that correct, so that was good. The adjectives. Now, most people got this correct. Ridiculous and spectacular, which means wonderful. Spectacular and ridiculous, being silly. Okay, good. So most people got all those right. The comparative form of the adjective good. Now, this is irregular. So, good. The comparative form is better. The superlative form is best. So good, better, best. So better. He is better than me. He is the best. Okay, so that answer was better. With new, we had newest. Okay, as a superlative. So we have a comparative and a superlative. So newer. So a comparative is when you are comparing two things, and a superlative is more than two things, meaning it's the number one, it's the best. Okay, so so this one is new as the adjective, newer, and then newest. You know, this is the newest version of word, for example. Okay, so it's meaning the most. You know. Okay, so that wasn't too bad, I think. Now let's have a look here, the adverbs. So now we know with adverbs, they do give information about verbs, but they also give more information about adjectives and other adverbs. Okay, so in this case, very enjoyable. It's adding more information to enjoyable. Okay, it's not just enjoyable, it's very enjoyable. So very is the adverb. Okay, because it's giving more information about enjoyable. Okay, now the next one, there were 3 adverbs here. So Jane speaks English often, so often, telling you sort of the amount, you know, often. In class, and as a result speaks extremely well. So extremely well. So extremely and well are both adverbs because they're giving information about how she speaks extremely well, and speaks well, speaks extremely well. So extremely is giving more information about well. Okay, so they're both 3 adverbs in this sentence. Okay, very good. Now prepositions. So in this case, there are 3: to, from, and on. Now remember, prepositions are associated or connected to a noun or a pronoun. So they link a pronoun or a noun. So, for example, I'm going to the bank. In this case, I will catch the train from Footscray Station. So the book is on the table. So it's always connected to a noun, okay? And it has something to do with place, usually, a place. Okay, now, so that most people got those correct, which was very good. Prepositions, which is a conjunction. I think everyone got this one right, but it's a linking word. And also the next one, because. Okay, he was late for class because the train was delayed. So because as a conjunction. Okay, now this one was a little bit tricky. Now some of these questions I put in here because they're very similar to your reading tasks. So in your reading tasks, there will be questions about grammar. And I know that in one of the reading tasks that's coming up, that is coming up. There are questions about identifying, you know, in this sentence, what is the, like it'll be a sentence from the reading text and it will ask you what is the conjunction or identify the adjective, for example, and you have to identify that, or what is the verb. So that's why I put these questions in here, because these are the types of questions that will be in your assessment task. Now, this question here, question 20, there's a very, very similar question in your assessment task. So the question is, what is the verb? Now, some people put have been teaching. Now, that's not correct. That's the verb form, okay? So the question asks you, what is the verb in this sentence? What is sort of the main verb? And I put some hints. Think of what the present participle is in this sentence. So we have the past participle and we have present participle, which the past participle is used in the passive form, and also and then we also have the present participle, and in this case it's used with the perfect tense. I'm sorry, I'm sounding like I'm going to confuse you even more here. I don't mean to. So we can go over this a bit more once we are in class. But what I'm saying is that the present participle in this sentence is teaching. Okay, so some people put to teach. Yes, that's the verb that's being used, but we want it in the form that it is in the sentence. So it's not asking you what is the verb tense being used. So I have been teaching for over, so we have the present perfect continuous. It's not asking you that, it's asking you what is the verb. So when you see this question in your assessment, it's very similar, just write the verb, the present participle that is being used here with the perfect tense, okay? Because this is a present continuous form, okay? A perfect, present perfect continuous, okay? So the answer is teaching. And I tried to give you a hint by saying this is a one-word answer. In the assessment, it's not going to say that. It's just going to say, what is the verb in this sentence? And the verb is teaching, because that is the main verb that's used, but it is in the present perfect continuous form. However, that's not what the question's asking. It's a very tricky question. I didn't write the assessment, but I'm just telling you that when you see this question in your assessment, that you will know what I mean, okay? Because you'll be doing your assessments outside of the classroom, so I'm not going to be there to be able to help you and give you little hints, so I'm trying to do that now, okay? So just be careful of that type of question. It is a bit of a strange one, I agree. It's not a question I would normally put in a quiz, but I put it here because it is in your assessment task. Okay, this one here too, in your assessment, it does ask you what is the adjective in this sentence. So in this case, it's unwanted. Now, it's tricky because you think, unwanted. Think of, when you're looking at an adjective, it describes a noun. So you sort of look at the sentence and say, where is the noun in this sentence? And here we have rubbish. Okay, what kind of rubbish is it? Unwanted rubbish. Okay, so be really, really careful. Again, very similar sentence in your assessment task. Okay, so unwanted is the adjective. Think of what word is coming before the noun. Okay, so unwanted. Now, the passive. Okay, so there are questions about the passive in your reading assessments. Now, the passive, the question says, identify the passive. So, what is the passive form in the sentence? Now, remember, the passive is formed by the verb to be in whatever tense it is, plus the past participle. Now, don't include, in this case, question 22, don't include the adverb. The next question, don't include the adjective, only include the passive form, okay? And that will be whatever the verb is, to be, plus the past participle. Now, with the passive form, the passive is not a tense as such. It's like a voice. You know, we have active and passive voice. And active is where, you know, the robbers robbed the bank. the bank was robbed by the robbers. So it changes the voice of the sentence, the form of the sentence. So what determines the tense in a passive sentence is the verb to be, whatever tense the verb to be is in, plus the past participle. So in this case, now I know that we've done a little bit about covering the passive in class. I know with my adult group, and I'm sure you've done it. The youth have done it with their teachers as well. So now in this case, the bank was robbed yesterday afternoon. Okay, now the bank was robbed. So was is the past tense, a simple past of the verb to be, and then the past participle is robbed. So your answer is was robbed, not when, yesterday, just the verb form. So was robbed. So the answer is was robbed. That is the passive in the sentence, the passive form that is in the sentence. So if it was an active sentence, we don't know who, well, maybe it was, a group of boys, I shouldn't say boys, a group of boys and girls robbed the bank yesterday. Okay, so that's an active sentence. In this case, the bank was robbed yesterday afternoon. We don't know who. The thing with the passive and why it's used is that, and I've mentioned this to my class, that it's the focus is on the action, not who did the action or who performed the action. So the focus is on what happened. It's the action that is most important. So the fact that the bank was robbed, it doesn't matter who robbed it. That's not the focus. Sometimes we don't know who did it. Sometimes it's not important. So in reporting, they use the passive a lot. So because the focus is on what happened. So in your assessment, there is a question that asks you, give an example of why the passive is used. Okay, so my response would be that the passive is used because the action is more important than who did the action or who completed the action. I often use the word doer. Okay, so where the action is more important than the doer, the person who did the action or whatever it was that caused the action. The passive is also used when the person who did the action is unknown. It's also used because the person who did the action or caused the action or whatever caused the action is not important. Okay, so it's important to understand why the passive is used, and they are actually the reasons why. Okay, so the first one is because I'm just going off the top of my head here, but the first one is that the action is more important than the doer. So who did the action, who completed the action, who performed the action is not important. Okay, and the person who completed the action is unknown, so we don't know. So if I say a bank was robbed yesterday, we might not know who robbed the bank, or maybe it's not significant or important. Okay, so it's important to understand the passive. So in this case, was robbed is the answer, because you've got the verb to be plus the past participle. Next one, again, similar. There is also one of the similar question in your assessment. Okay, the situation is made worse. Now, students get confused because they see is made. Now, this is just a present simple. Okay, so the verb to be is, and then the past participle is made. So when you are looking for the passive in a sentence, you have to look at where's the verb, where is the verb to be, what form, what tense is it in, and where is the past participle, because the passive always has the past participle. Okay, so here we have made. The situation is made worse because cruise ships visit the same places so many times. So is made. Don't include the adjective worse, just is made. So I'm telling you this because these questions are going to be on your assessment task. Okay, if you have any questions, further questions about the passive, let me know. Okay, because it's a bit of a tricky tense, but it's used a lot. Okay, so the passive form. Okay, now, what is the imperative verb in this sentence? Now, I've included imperative verbs because, as you know, in Cert 3, you need to know imperative verbs. They're very important for your instructions. Now, most people got this correct. It was easy. Make your lunch before you eat your breakfast. Okay, the imperative verbs. Now, this one was a little bit tricky because some people thought that hand in is an imperative. Now, it can be used as an imperative, but what it's asking you, or identify all the imperative verbs in these instructions. So first one is don't rush. Okay, don't rush. So it's telling you don't rush your homework, as you will make lots of mistakes. And then the next one is check. Always check. So it's giving you an instruction. So check is the second one. Okay. And then the third one is never submit. So it's giving you an instruction. It's using never, okay, but it's got submit. So never submit as an adverb, never submit as an imperative verb. Okay. But the next sentence, teachers don't like it when students hand in work with lots of careless mistakes. That is so true. But hand in is not used as an imperative there, okay? So it's just used as a verb in the sentence. So, therefore hand in is not used as an imperative verb in this sentence. So it's just asking you for the imperative verbs in the instructions. So the answer is don't rush, check, and submit. Okay, and lucky last. This one was easy. It was sequence markers. So first, next, and finally. So that was pretty easy. But I thought I'd throw that in since you need to know sequence markers. So this quiz covers lots of different grammatical aspects that we have covered and that you do need to know for your assessment. And also, obviously grammar is really important. And for those of you who know me, I love grammar. I read grammar blogs and quizzes all the time, do quizzes. My kids think I'm crazy. But I think grammar is really fun and forms the basis of your learning. So I hope that this little video has been helpful and that it's helped explain some of the answers to your questions. And if you do have any further questions, you can send me a message, email, and we can have a chat about it. But hopefully it's been helpful. Now with these quizzes, you can actually view your results when you finish. So when you do the quiz and then it says view results, click on that and it actually goes through and it tells you which ones you've done, which ones you've got correct and which ones not. If you for some reason haven't been able to get your results, let me know and I can tell you your score. Okay, and how you went, but you should be able to see your results straight away afterwards. So that's about it for me. This is a bit of a long video. You're going to be completely bored and falling asleep by now. So I hope everything is clear. I'm not used to doing these YouTube videos as grammar lessons, but hopefully it will be helpful. So good luck everyone, and keep working hard. I know studying and learning at home is not easy. It's not easy for us too. We love being in the classroom and teaching face to face, but we're really trying our very best to help and support you as much as we can. Okay, and all your teachers, really miss you and love and adore you, and we look forward to being back in the classroom soon. So good night. It's actually a bit late now, and I will definitely talk to you all and be in touch with you all soon. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.